So the last question I have is, do you think this team realistically can make the play-in tournament?
Oh man. I mean, I think there's a realistic chance that they can be in that conversation. But when you look at the conference as a whole, the thing that's scary is even though the Pistons got better, I think a lot of teams are looking at themselves and saying, we got better too. Like I think when you look at what teams, most obviously take a step back in the conference this year, I think Toronto's clearly going to be one of the bottom teams. Their win total was really only as high as it was because of the beginning of the season. And then the rest of the season happened. I think now that you're going to have a full year of tanking, they're certainly going to be in that conversation. Brooklyn, I think, is going to be the worst team in the league. But other than that, I mean, maybe Atlanta is in that conversation as well. But otherwise, like the rest of the conference, like Indiana certainly just established themselves as a conference power. Orlando, I don't think is going anywhere by any stretch of the imagination. The Washington Wizards will certainly be down there for sure in the conversation, but otherwise, like I think you're still like I don't think the balance of power has shifted a ton. I think if the Pistons are in that discussion, I certainly think it's a victory. I'm not. If you were to ask me for a percent chance, I'd say like 30 to 35% chance. But like, hey, the fact that that's even a conversation with the roster moves that they made. I mean, that's good. We'll see if they're actually in it. I think the important thing for a big victory for the Pistons would be that actually being a conversation beyond November, because that was all but gone before 2024 even hit this last year. Like no one was even thinking about Detroit in the play-in. Like it wasn't even nearly a conversation. So
no, it's the first 3 games of the season, I thought we were back.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Blazer game happened.
There was that one post where I think the Bleacher Report said like the Showtime Pistons or something like that.
We went from Showtime to Wingstop Pistons in like a matter of a month. Like
yeah,
it's pretty crazy. I'm still struggling with this. I think the bottom of the East is pretty weak. I think Charlotte will be there.
Yep.
Atlanta's interesting to me because I don't know what they're gonna do. It's like, are they just retooling, or are they just gonna bite the bullet and trade Trae Young and just start over?
I think if they could have traded Trae Young, I think they would have done it by now.
That's fair.
I think I truly think that, like, not that he doesn't have value, but I think especially for like his money, like if you're coming into Trae, if you're bringing Trae Young in, are you confident he'll be your second or third option and that he'll take that gladly?
Yeah, I think the only team he makes sense on, and I said it last week, is Orlando, because they don't really have a point guard that can score.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the only team I think that could, like, where he fits with his defensive deficiencies, because they have KCP, they have multiple defenders that can switch and kind of hide him. But I mean, I don't see Orlando like being desperate enough. And it sounds like,
because honestly, if you're Orlando, I'd say, well, is Jalen Suggs really not that much worse than him right now? And I mean, honestly, Jalen Suggs has gotten a lot better over the last couple of years. I'd almost rather see where he can go, and he's definitely better defensively than Trae Young.
Yeah, I mean, they have Anthony Black too, who's a really good defender.
I like Anthony Black a lot.
Me too. I was a really big fan of his coming out of college. But I mean, Atlanta is probably cusp playing. You got Charlotte. I don't see Washington even being in competition for.
Oh, they're going to be so bad. They are going to be so bad.
Yeah, December 15th, I feel like we're going to get probably like 5 Woj notifications if they traded half their bigs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, signing Jonas and saying, yeah, we'll trade you December 15th, but don't worry. Like, that's such a... I know Troy Weaver's not the general manager, but he's a consultant. It just kind of seems like a Troy move.
Do you think Troy like made it a non-negotiable that they draft Alex Sarr for him to come in, or do you think he would have? What do you think he would have done if they didn't draft Alex Sarr? Because that man loves his bigs.
He does. Pause.
Well, I wasn't bringing it there, but I mean, hey.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Like, they have like Rashawn Holmes, Marvin Bagley, now Alex Sarr, that he said he didn't want to play center. He wanted to play power forward. They have enough bigs now where he can play power forward. I don't know if he's going to change his jersey number again, but I mean, like, his summer league was atrocious, man.
Oh,
Like
it was so bad.
if you
It
went
was
on
so bad.
Twitter, it was like people were calling him the 7-foot Killian Hayes. Like I
Yep.
was like, wow, you guys are wild. Because I was pretty high on Alex Sarr coming out of the draft. I really liked him, but I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know, man. For the Troy question, I have no idea like how much say he has in that organization. I thought they might go Ricochet, but hey, it's crazy.
I'm interested to see. I don't even think, and like another thing, that just speaks to where this draft was. I don't think Zachary Ricochet will have an impact on if the Hawks will make the playoffs or not. Like, I genuinely think he'll be a non-factor for them. He'll be a role player. The number one pick was a role player.
I mean, Reed Shepherd looks like arguably like the best player in the draft so far, just based off the summer league.
He looked incredible, man. I knew he was a really solid shooting guard. I knew he could do a lot, from beyond the arc, but what he showed as a point guard and his ability to run an offense and, have the ball in his hands on the Houston Rockets, I'm feeling pretty excited about what I have coming up this year.
Yeah, I mean, Houston has so much young talent, but
Yep.
I don't know. It's such a hard question. I know you said 30% for the play-in. I'm like in between the 24 and 27 games range.
Yep.
If they prove me wrong, because I think you're gonna have to win at least 30 plus to make the play-in, personally.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they trade one of the the young core pieces for another proven vet, like I find it really hard to believe, but they could be in a position at the deadline, because these aren't Trajan's guys. I mean, he could, bite the bullet on someone. You never know.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think the first part of this season is going to be, him really evaluating, who he thinks fits together and, like what they'll do going forward. I certainly think within the next year, someone's going to be moved.
Yeah. I mean, we had conversations that we think it's going to be Marcus Sasser last week, because it's like, you look at the depth chart, there's like really no pathway unless you really believe he's a backup point guard.
I was not sold by Marcus Sasser at all from Summer League. Not to read too much into Summer League, but I was not impressed. I like Marcus Sasser was a guy I wanted to go in and really show, any improvements he's made, or like what a year in the league has really done for him. I don't think he really did that.
I feel like the Pistons just wanted him to try out being a point guard and seeing if maybe that's a pathway that he could possibly back up Cade, where I view him more as like an undersized shooting guard, just a guy that can get buckets and score. But I mean, you look at the depth chart, like I don't really see playing time for him. And like
I don't either.
And you just drafted him like last year, and it's like, I don't know, man. Like, does he have a market? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean the nice excuse of a new regime is you can just go, well, he's not my guy. I didn't draft him.
Yeah, it's because, like, let's say you want to play him at shooting guard. So you have Jaden Ivey, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Malik Beasley.
Yeah, there's just not a path there.
He's still going to get playing time. I still think he'll get 10 minutes a night.
You could maybe have lineups like you talk about Cade playing the 3. Like you could maybe have lineups where you have Sasser, at the 2 or at the 1, with Ivy, there as well. But like, just at a certain point, you're, like it's putting together rotations for a guy that you just don't really know if he's even one of the best 12 or 13 guys on the roster. Just like from what he's shown, like and especially the amount of guard depth that, they brought in, especially veteran guards. Like it's like you said, like the pathway to minutes for a guy like him just got infinitely harder.